Today in class we derived the quadratic formula. It's not important that you know how the quadratic formula is derived, but you should know that it is x equals the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared plus negative 4ac, and I know that most sources call this minus 4ac, but subtraction is the same as adding the opposite, and you will make fewer sign mistakes if you do it my way. And that is all over 2a. Or, as we started to learn in class, the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared plus negative 4ac, all divided by 2a. Whatever floats your boat or helps you memorize it, it's important. So when you do this, it's important to understand that you need it in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. The related equation is that. So we're going to begin with an example of 9x squared plus 12x minus 1 is equal to 0. And you do need to have one side equal to 0 first. So I'm going to try to keep track of the steps right over here. Get one side equal to 0. Okay? Then you can assign the variables. You're not really assigning the variables, but say a equals, b equals, c equals. Okay? And in this situation, so what I'm suggesting you do is this. In this case, a is 9 because it's in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So we can see that 9 is in the place of a. It's the coefficient of the quadratic term. 12 is in the position of b, and negative 1 is in the position of c. And then you plug it in. So we have the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared. And then here, plus, go to the side and do this on the side. Negative 4, always use negative 4, times a times c. Okay, simplify. Sorry to interrupt the song. Simplify. Negative 4 times a times c to the side. Of course, you don't need to do this, but it will help you avoid making mistakes. And then that whole quantity over divided by 2a. So that's 18. So we have the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared plus negative 4ac, all divided by 2a. Then you have to simplify and make sure, including radicals, and also reduce your final answer. Okay? So we've got x is equal to negative 12 plus or minus 144 plus 36 is 180, so that's root 180 over 18. Now I'm going to do root 180 over here. I know that's 9 times 20, and 20 is 4 times 5. So this is 3 times 2, 6 root 5. So my answer here is negative 12 plus or minus 6 root 5 over 18. And oh no, I'm out of room. What you need to do here is reduce the 6's here. And the final answer is, we'll have to go to the next slide for this, will be negative 2 plus or minus root 5, 2 plus or minus root 5 over 3. Okay, so let's try another one. We've got x squared, we've got x squared minus x equal to -8. Well, the first step says get one side equal to 0. Oh no, I'm sorry, I read this wrong. It is x squared equals x minus 8. First step is still the same. We need to get one side equal to 0, and it's good to have the quadratic term be positive. So I'm going to add 8 to both sides, and I'm also going to subtract x from both sides. And we want to write this in the order in which we're used to seeing it, which is the quadratic term first, then the linear term, then the constant, and that's going to equal 0, because of course then it's in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. And we can go over here and we can say a is equal to 1, because that's the coefficient of the quadratic term. B is equal to -1, because that's the coefficient of the linear term. And C is equal to 8. So here we go. The opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared. And then over here we want to cite -4 times a times c plus -4ac, that's -32 in this case, all divided by 2a, and a is 1. Well, when we simplify this, we can see that 1 plus or minus the square root of -31 divided by 2 is not a real number, because we cannot take the square root of -31. So this has no real solutions. We're just going to do one more. This time I'll jot that down. So 2x squared, remember we want 2x squared minus 3x equals 2. So this is ax squared we want, minus bx, and we want this to equal 0, so we're going to subtract 2. Ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So now we have accomplished this, and we've got it in 2x squared minus 3x minus 2. Is it minus 3x? Yes. Equals 0. I've got room over here, so I'm going to say a is equal to 2, b is equal to -3, c is equal to -2. Now it's time to plug in the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared plus -4 times a times c, that is -8 times -2, that's 16, all divided by 2a. So what I get here is 3 plus or minus the square root of 25 over 4. Well, we can see that the square root of 25 is 5, so my two solutions are 3 plus 5 over 4 and 3 minus 5 over 4, making this 8 over 4, or 2, and this -2 over 4, or -1/2. And in general, because this is a solution set, it will be in brackets. Just to make sure that you know what I did here, square root of 25 is 5, and therefore this goes over here as a plus, and over here as a minus. And that, my friends, is the quadratic formula.